What's up everybody? Here we are with another video talking Worlds 2020. This time looking at the teams attending this World Championship in the context of their groups. Yesterday I published a video just ranking them 1 to 16 outside of the context of the group, and today I'm going to show you my pick'ems and explain a little bit my thoughts about the team in the context of the group. So let's jump right into Group A. We have G2 Esports in this group. Wonder and Caps, I think, are the best performing players on this team right now in top and mid lane. I think they are up there with the best in the world and can definitely hold their own against anybody. And I think in this group, I think they should be able to outright win their lane very often. They are facilitated by Jankos in the jungle, who's had a pretty good performance this summer split. And yeah, he plays around these two solo laners mainly and tries to get them ahead, tries to facilitate them. The weak point for G2, I think, is their bot lane right now. I think Mickey X is not performing as well as we have seen him last year. And I think Perks has had a bit of a rougher time reintegrating into the ADC role than he did last year, when he had an entire year to get into that role, where he had the Kai'Sa and Saya, who were really strong coming into Worlds. And so this year he's a little bit more subdued than last year. Then we have Zuning in this group. I think their mid jungle is the strongest point for them. SOFM in the jungle and Angel in mid lane are definitely the best performing players for them right now. The most well-known player on this roster is probably Swordart, but he's not playing as well as he has in former international competitions when he has been on the Flash Wolves. I think he's more of a middling support right now. And then we also have Bin in the top lane and Huan Fang on ADC, who I think both are good players. I think Huan Fang has a lot of potential, but is kind of a diamond in the rough right now, and he can have some games where he just gets caught out a little bit too much, mispositions a little bit. And yeah, Bin out of the top lane I don't think is anything extraordinary. Then we have Machi Esports in this group, the champions of PCS. But if you have seen yesterday's video, I think you already know that my opinion on the PCS teams is pretty low. I think their summer finals had a pretty poor level of performance. And so I actually have them at the bottom end of the ranking of all teams at this Worlds. Team Liquid is rounding out this group. I think Impact and Jensen are pretty solid solo laners for them, and I think they have shown in the past that they can play to the level of competition. So I expect them to perform quite well at this tournament, but I don't think they can just win their lane so hard that Team Liquid gets enough wins or gets a lot of wins off that entirely. I think in contrast to G2, their solo laners are a little bit worse, and then in the jungle there's a massive difference. I think Broxah is not the best jungler at this moment in time. I don't even think he's at his best at this moment in time, and I think he can be the main liability for Team Liquid. The standout for Team Liquid is in the bot lane. It's CoreJJ in support. I think he's the player that Team Liquid revolves around. He's the playmaker for the team. He's the main shot caller for the team. It seems like when you watch their games, a lot of their gameplay revolves around what CoreJJ does. And then in ADC, they have Tactical, who's a rookie this summer split. And I always leave a little bit of room for rookies. I think no matter how well they perform, and Tactical has performed really well, but no matter, a rookie can always fall flat at international competition, I think. So my lineup for Group A actually only needs one change. I think Machi, they can take wins of every team in this group. I think if G2 go crazy in the draft and in the early game, they can definitely throw games. I think Suning has enough weaknesses that maybe they can lose a game to Machi, although I do not expect that. And then I think Team Liquid, similarly to Suning, there's a possibility that Machi takes a game of them. I would expect Machi to actually go 0-6, but yeah, ready to be proven wrong on that. Group B, I think, is one of the most clear groups in this tournament as to who qualifies for the bracket stage. I think there's almost no way that Damwon and JDG don't make it out. I think it's just about the order they make it out in. And I think this is the most interesting matchup we have in the group stage. So let's go lane by lane. We have Zoom versus Nuguri in the top lane, both among the best top laners at this tournament. And a little bit of a difference in playstyle. I think Zoom, you can put him on any pick. You can put him on a tank, a bruiser, or a carry, and he's gonna win lane in most cases. And then he's gonna come into the team fights and really do a job there. He's a really good performer for JDG right now. On the other side, you have Nuguri, who can be a bit more of a two-sided blade. We've seen him repeatedly getting killed in lane, but still coming out ahead in gold just because his wave management is so good, his laning is so good. And so he's more of a exciting player, where Zoom is more of a rock for the team. Out of the jungle, we have Kanavi on JDG side versus Canyon for Damwon. Both of those, again, among the best in the world. And I think we have to talk about them in the context of their mid-jungle duo. So in mid lane, we have Showmaker for Damwon and Yagao for JDG. And where I think the junglers are so hard to rank above each other, I do think Showmaker is that little bit better than Yagao. And so I think that's going to be the deciding factor in the mid lane 2v2, where I see Damwon coming out ahead just that little bit. And the same goes for the bottom lane. I think Beryl and Lumao, as for top, as for jungle, they are among the best in the world right now. They have somewhat of an unconventional champion pool, which has actually kind of become meta though. The Bard and the Pantheon allow these two players to get out on the map, have a global presence, and alongside them in the bot lane, that's why they have quite self-sufficient AD carries. Loken on JDG and Ghost on Damwon Gaming. And once again, I think that Ghost is just that little bit of a more self-sufficient, a little bit more of an intelligent player. And so I also think Damwon is coming out with a slight edge in that matchup. I don't expect the bot lane to be the focus of these games. I expect the supports to get out of lane, get involved in the mid lane 3v3, that would make it. And I think the game will be decided there. Rogue will sadly not make it out of this group, in my opinion. I think if they were in another group, they would have a very good shot. I'm actually pretty high on Rogue. I think Larson is a really, really good mid laner. Has only been outperformed by Caps having a monster summer split. And together with Inspired, he forms a very good mid lane mid jungle 2v2. The bot lane for Rogue is more on the stable side, I would say. Hansama and Vander are performing well in most games. It's pretty rare that we see them getting out, mispositioning. We have seen it, but not very often. The point where Rogue falls short more often is in the top lane. And as I've explained in my video yesterday, I think, or my high ranking of them, my high opinion of them depends on them putting Finn on tanks and maybe bruisers. So I hope that they take the Ornn if they get it. If not, take the Scion. Even maybe take the Maokai. We've seen some plane stage teams bring it out, and I think, while I'm not a big fan of it in the meta, I think it's a viable pick for teams like this, where it's more about the function that they want their top laner to fulfill than getting the strongest champions for him. And then lastly in this group you have PSG. My opinion on PSG is pretty low. Even though they have impressed me in the play-ins, I think a lot of that was down to Kong Yue and Uniboy, the mid lane 2v2 that they brought in on loan from AHQ to visa issues. I think they carried PSG to a good finish in that play-in stage. And I think not only will they struggle a little bit to reintegrate their own mid jungle 2v2 in tank and river, because they only have 3 days to bring them back in. But I think that these two players are a little bit of a skill downgrade. And I think in this group there's just too many good teams. So yeah, Group B, no changes from the original lineup for me. In Group C, this is a really interesting group for me because I think it's the least well defined. We have TSM, the champions of the NALCS. I think they revolve heavily around Bjergsen, obviously, and I think his supportive style, where he doesn't get punished super heavily in lane and then facilitates Broken Blade and Double Lift, maybe even Speaker, won't work as well at this Worlds as it did in NA. And even in NA, I think it's been a beautiful storyline, them going into the lower bracket and then winning best of 5 after best of 5 after best of 5, making it to the finals and winning the whole thing. But all of those series, I think, were 3-2. They were really close. And I think TSM is not a clean team at all. I think Broken Blade and Double Lift are more shaky carries where they need to be facilitated by Bjergsen to bring out their best, and I don't think he will be able to make that work as well as in NA. I think Speaker has shown a lot of growth over the summer split, but will still fall short in this group just because you have Selfmade, you have Clid, you have Peanut. The junglers in this group are really strong. And so I think this can be a weakness for TSM in this group. And then in support, they have Biofrost and Treats, both of which I don't really rate highly. And so I think that's another weakness for TSM. Fnatic is a really interesting matchup into TSM because their jungle mid duo is the polar opposite of TSM's. Selfmade, the jungler, is the hard carry for Fnatic alongside Reckless, who had another really good summer split, and I expect Reckless to come into this Worlds really strong. Selfmade is the hard carry for their mid lane 2v2. Nemesis is more of a liability, where Speaker is for TSM. I think we might see Fnatic come up with another really good mid lane 2v2, mid jungle 2v2 pick for them, as we've seen them bring out the Evelynn Lucian. I think if it doesn't get banned, they should pick that up. They've been really successful with it, and they might even come up with more picks that work great for them. In top lane, we have Bwipo for Fnatic. In bot lane, we have Hylissang. And I think those are they can really make a difference for Fnatic because they have been kind of coin flip this summer split. Hilly we all know the phrase Hilly, and he can definitely have some engages that ruin an entire team fight for Fnatic, but he can also have genius engages. And so I think it's really about if Hylissang can buckle down a little bit and raise his floor, let's say, because his ceiling is as high as we need it. We just need his floor to be a little bit higher, as well as Bwipo. I think he can have really good performances, but we've also seen him kind of chain feed in lane and then be a non-factor later on. The team I'm highest on in this group is Gen G, because I think they have the highest individual skill, starting with the Ruler in the ADC position. If you've seen LCK, you've seen his highlights, you've seen his pro plays, you've seen his mechanics, and his form is just really insane right now. His support life is a rookie this year, but he's performing really well. Again, I reserve that little bit of judgment for international competition, where I think every rookie can fall short, and no matter how well they have performed domestically. The other star player next to Ruler for them is BDD in the mid lane. He's performing really well over jungle, over Summer Split, and I think he's a very consistent player. And together with Clit out of the jungle, that is a really strong mid jungle 2v2. Rascal in the top lane is a little bit of a question mark for me. He can have carry performances, but he can also fall flat. And I would actually prefer seeing him on tanks, because I think they have enough carry potential out of BDD and Ruler that I don't really need the coin flip in top lane. So just from that alone, you can already tell Gen G first place for me. The last team in the group is LGD. They revolve heavily around Peanut in jungle and Xie in the mid lane. Xie again being the rock for this team, I think, and Peanut being the pop-off player this time. And he's often successful with it and can carry a game, but if it backfires on him, which can also happen, it might also just throw the entire game away because Peanut is so far behind in the jungle then. So outside of that, I think Langxing is a liability in top lane. We've seen him lose lane against play-in stage competition, so I don't expect things to get better in his group stage. And then Kramer in ADC. I actually was a fan of his play when he played in Korea back a couple of years on Africa Freaks. But after watching their playoff run, their gauntlet run, their play-in stage performance, I don't think he's in his best form right now. And together with Mark, their bot lane, as well as the top lane, is kind of the weak point for LGD. So I have LGD coming out 4th in this group, Genji making it out in 1st place, and I have Fnatic taking the 2nd place, basically because of the jungle difference that I see. But this group is definitely the one where I can see the most changes from my pick'ems. And then in Group D, we have my number 1 ranked team coming into the tournament. We have Top Esports. I think this is an insane team. They have so much raw skill, and yet they have so much coordination. Their play around neutral objectives is so clean. I really enjoyed their entire playoffs, and I've also seen some of their games in the regular season. And yeah, their performance has just blown me away. I think everyone by now knows Knight in the mid lane. He's been one of the best mid laners for a while now, and he's definitely one of the best coming into this tournament, if not the best outright. His play together with Karsa, the jungler, a name that we also know from back in the day from the Flash Wolves. Their mid jungle 2v2 is really strong, and then they have players in the side lanes that can carry the game as well. 369, I think, is a really, really good top laner. He's maybe that little bit behind Zoom as the best Chinese top laner. And we have Jakilov in the bot lane, a former world champion and a player who's really in form in judging from the summer split and the summer playoffs from LPL. In support, we have Yuyanja, I think a rookie this year, if I'm not mistaken. And so again, I give that little bit I leave that little bit of judgment because it's his first time at international competition. But similarly to other rookies coming into this World Championship, he's been performing really well, and I hope he can keep it up. So Top Esports definitely number 1 for me in this group. DRX, number 2 for me in this group. No changes there. I think Chovy in the mid lane is a monster in lane, a little bit less of a monster in team fights. So his defining feature is winning that lane, and sadly I don't think he's gonna be able to stomp a player like Knight in lane, especially because Knight has the better jungler alongside him. So a little bit of DRX's win condition gets met by equal skill by Top Esports there. In the jungle, we have Pioshik, who's a rookie this year and who has been performing well, but not up to the play we've seen from other junglers around the world. So he's just a little bit below that group of the best junglers in the world. The other rookie coming in for DRX is Carrier in the support role. He's been the breakout player of Spring Split of LCK, but he's been fallen off a little bit in summer. So he's not coming in to this World Championship in the best form we've ever seen from him. But I do hope he can step it up alongside Deft in the bot lane, because if he can, I think this can be one of the best bot lanes in the tournament. Deft, we've seen him for years now, being one of the best AD carries in the world. He's also not had his best performances in this summer split of LCK, but I don't think we've seen him step up to international competition time and time again, and so I do expect him to be able to do it again this year. The question mark for me for DRX is in the top lane. It's Doran. DRX like to put him on carries, and I don't actually like that, because I do think he's a little bit of a coin flip player. He can definitely collapse and be the weak point for this team. So I would like them to actually put him on more bruisery, tanky champions. And then for me, it's about FlyQuest and Unicorns of Love for who takes the pride in getting the third place, I think. And I'm actually going to put Unicorns of Love in third. I think they showed a lot in play-ins. They showed a lot of diversity. They showed a lot of creativeness or creativity in the draft and in the game. Their strength is definitely in the team fighting, and I think the meta facilitates that really well right now with all the neutral objectives that are the win conditions in these games. And yeah, when UOL group around these objectives, I think they are really, really strong. FlyQuest, if they can make it to third, even make it out of this group, maybe it's not it's not impossible, obviously. I think it would be down to their mid jungle 2v2. I think Centaurian in jungle and Power of Evil in mid lane are the best players on this team. But the reason I have them in fourth place is because I think these players are more stable players than pop-off players, which you would prefer to take a couple of wins in this best of one format. I think outside of these two players, both their top lane and their bot lane are pretty shaky. Solo has had a good regular summer split, I think, but in the playoffs he has shown a couple of weaknesses, and I think the same goes for their bottom lane. I think it's not really up to the standard of bot lanes at this World Championship, and yeah, that's why I have FlyQuest coming last in this group. If you want to discuss my pick'ems and my predictions for this World Championship with me, feel free to do it in the comments here. Feel free to engage on Twitter at esportsidaho. I would really love that. And yeah, feel free to leave a like, share this video, and discuss the content with me. Looking forward to that. Thanks for watching.